Begin Within Ministries proudly presents Sofa Sundays with your hosts, Reverend Dr. Michelle Izuku and Reverend Jeannie Sovereigns. Sundays at 11:11 a.m. Arizona time and rebroadcasts on Mondays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Come join us on the sofa every Sunday morning. Sofa Sundays with Michelle and Jeannie. Learn more at www.beginwithinministries.com. In partnership with New Thought Media Network.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sofa Sundays. It's a beautiful, super hot day here in Phoenix, Arizona, for those of you that don't live here. But we are still here streaming live from the Unleash Your Life Studios, which is a home of Reverend Dr. Michelle Whittington's classes and practice. And if you don't know about her, I can't imagine that you don't, but in case you don't, you can check everything out that she's got going on at unleashyourlife.us. So I highly recommend taking her classes, reading her books. She's one of Jeannie and my our biggest mentor, someone that has mentored us from the beginning and a dear, dear friend today. So highly recommend everything that she has going on, and she so graciously lends this space to our ministry in support of us. So we love you, Michelle, and I have got some fun people in the house. We're excited to get started today. Yay! We're missing our Rev Jeannie today. We did have a guest on the sofa, and there's one of those situations that come up in life that we'd rather be on the sofa, but it takes us away from that moment. So I'm here, and I'm very well supported by my friends here today. And so we are excited to get started on our topic this morning, which is my thoughts and actions are liberated from fear. And I think that's a very appropriate topic for today and any day, really, especially since this is the month, the theme being all about our freedom. I think there was another word involved there. Let me double check. Yeah, and independence and freedom is the theme this month. So it's a perfect topic. So have I missed anything? Am I good on all the stuff? Nope. I'm good. Yeah. All right, then let's just pray in and let's get to it, because this is one of those times where I actually wrote I had a lot of thoughts about this one, which I was like, look at me being Jeannie. Look at me being Rev Jeannie today. So, all right, I'm going to ding this for myself. And with that, let's take a deep breath this morning. We're coming into this present moment. So we're shaking off, we're letting go of anything that's happened this morning before this time together that might still be running through our minds and keeping us there. We're just going to let it go. We can pick it back up later, but for right now, we want to be present here together. So we're shaking that off now. We're also releasing anything we know we have to do, all that to-do list stuff, anything we're thinking about coming after our time together. We're also just going to put that to the side just for a little bit of time. We are taking this time for ourselves this morning, for our spiritual practice, for our connections with each other, just to be here now. And in this present moment, in this now moment, we recognize God. We recognize that there is only God, that divine energy, that unimaginable power, that infinite source. And as we sit here for a moment, I invite you to let run through your mind all that God is, all the ways that you can think of that God is. I tend to see flowers and the ocean and sand on my feet and hugs from those I love, smiles. So take a moment and let all of that God is. God is everything. Let it run through your mind for a moment, the greatness. And as we recognize that truth, that All is God. God is all there is. Therefore, that is all we can be. We are made of God's stuff because that is all that everything is made of. We are that love, that joy, that energy that is God, manifesting in, as, and through each one of us. And from that place of mind, knowing my truth, I speak my word for today's time together, knowing that it is divinely guided, it is blessed, it is easy, it flows, it is engaging, inspiring. And anyone present with us now or hearing it later receives what is theirs to receive, hears what they need to hear. And we know that we create a life we love through our thoughts and our actions. And knowing this, we are so grateful. We're grateful for the way it works. We are grateful for it working in, as, and through each one of us. We are grateful for this time together. And so we let it go, know, and trusting that it is already done in the mind of God. And together we say, and so it is. Well, here we are. I think this theme today is so empowering just to take a moment to think about it. The thought that my thoughts and actions are liberated from fear. Liberated from fear. So I've taken some notes. One thing that I've often thought about is something that Ernest Holmes, and I don't have the exact quote from Ernest Holmes, but he has said that fear is misuse of imagination, not rooted in the present, and not rooted in the truth. It's a misuse of our imagination. So we are imagining in the future whatever could happen, and then we cause fear into ourselves. And so when we're doing that, that's a misuse. We are creative beings. We are meant to be creative. We are meant to imagine. But imagining things that keep us in fear does the opposite of what I feel the creative energy is for, right? Creative energy should move you forward, should bring excitement, should lighten you up, all that you're creating. However, I mean, if you think about anytime you've created something and you're in that flow of creating something and, you're just on fire for it, like it's hard to shut it down. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, but there are times where I'm, it's late at night. I can remember working on something years ago before my three younger ones, but Jordan was a little kid and I was working on something and I was a teacher at the time. So I had to be up and at work at 7:30 in the morning and I was working on something I was so into and I was so excited. And I looked at the clock and it was after 3 a.m. It was like 3 something. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it took a lot to just shut it down and go to bed. But I knew I had to teach a bunch of middle school kids tomorrow. And if I'm done, this is not going to work.
It was fueling you.
It was like just one thing led to another. And I was just on fire for it. So to me, that's what our creative powers are for. To be feeling in that way, not using it to push us down and to make us, unable to move. To paralyze us, to keep us small. I can't imagine that's the purpose of it. But as we know that there's two sides to everything that we do, right? There's love and fear. There's, the creative energy that takes us this way and then the creative energy that can take us that way. So which one are you choosing to be using at the time? So if you're thinking about that fear is a misuse of your imagination. And I think a lot of us, if we understand religious science, we understand that the present moment is the now moment. And when we've talked about this many times before, that if you are in fear, you are future thinking of stuff that
may or may not happen.
Right. As Anne said, may or may not happen. And how often does it honestly happen?
Most of the time not.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I remember, Reverend Dr. Michelle Whittington saying one time that when she was going through a very scary moment in her life, that she did feel afraid. she was crying, all those emotions like, oh, what am I going to do when this happens? And then it occurred to her, well, wait a minute. I'll have plenty of time to feel that way when and if the thing happens. Why am I torturing myself with it now? I don't know why we do that. It's like, it hasn't even occurred yet. We don't know for sure if it's going to occur, even if it all is lining up and we can kind of predict, well, probably it's going to happen. But why are we torturing ourselves with it now? Why aren't we, well, right now though, I'm safe. I'm good. Everything's here. I don't know why we do that. We're kind of funny that way, right? We're kind
It's fear.
It's the power of the fear. And one of the things that, thought precedes form, which means that our thinking comes first. The way we're thinking, we are creative beings. So whatever we're thinking about, whatever that dominant thinking is, we're creating that out there in the world. We have that superpower, right? And sometimes we'll use that in reverse. We'll say, well, I do anyway. I'll say, well, I don't like what's going on, or maybe I've gotten myself in a tizzy about something. And as soon as I can get my mind back in control, so I'm not spinning, I go, what have I been thinking about that's causing this to happen? My thinking, if I believe that it's my thoughts creating my reality, then what am I doing with my thoughts? Oftentimes we're just not being intentional. We're not paying attention to what we're doing up here. And we're just in the weeds of what's happening out here, instead of saying, well, let me be intentional with what I'm thinking, and then I'm creating what I want. Instead, go ahead, Ann, can you get that mic for Ann?
Finish your thought.
Instead, I am, out here in the weeds, reacting to everything going on and not realizing that it's coming from my thinking, Well, let's see if I know how to do this. Yeah, am I just turning it on? Oh, thank you. Go ahead, Ann. Yay, thank you, True.
I guess the trick, as you're talking about, those feelings coming up or whatever, and asking, what's in my mind that's creating this. The trick is that balance between blaming yourself, like, well, what did you do to create this?
Yes.
Is different than recognizing there's some thoughts going on that are producing something I don't want, but so I could re-choose or refocus, but it's so easy, especially the way that some people approach asking that, well, what the hell were you thinking?
Right.
That brought that about, and that's not useful at all. But it's definitely useful to take a look at, so I had this fear in my head, and that's what was driving my thinking, and I can disconnect from that.
I love that, and you're always so good at helping remember that. The shame thing is one of your buzzwords. Like, we're not shaming ourselves. Like, we're not doing that, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So
definitely.
Yeah. So I appreciate you adding to that, because I don't often think in that way. Sometimes I don't remember to add that. So thanks for adding that how important it is to not shame yourself if you catch yourself thinking about something that's not producing the results you want.
Just keep this here.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, right. It's so important to not do that, because what's that doing? That's keeping you in the very behavior that you're already trying to get out of.
Yeah.
You have to give yourself so much grace.
Mm-hmm.
We are having a human experience, and I don't know that this human experience is always full of bliss and fun and whatever. Like, it can be difficult, and we're navigating it as best we can. So the moment that you recognize, hey, I forgot I'm a creative being and my thoughts are creating this. Okay, let me back it up and figure out, what am I doing in here that's causing out here? What am I doing? There's no shame in that. There's no beat yourself up for that. As soon as you recognize it, go deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it. And that's what I do to myself. I'm never like, oh my gosh, you're so stupid. Why? I know that those thoughts don't come to me. But I am grateful that I have recognized, oh my goodness, what are you doing? What have I been thinking about? I'm grateful for that. Go ahead.
It also reminds me of that aspect that it's not just about blaming, but operating on speculation. So I have this fear, right, that's driving my thinking. And so then I shift my behavior to respond to what I interpret that to be. And so often, like, communication gets so skewed because people are responding to how they're interpreting something, which is maybe being interpreted by their monkey mind. And then what it does is it escalates the situation because I'm assuming you're upset with me, and so I'm going to act in accordance with that, which might make you upset. and then we're in this trial of trying to figure out what was the causative thought, But operating on speculation, it's like I don't have very many rules in my life, but that's one of them. If I don't know the answer, I'm not going to assume that I know the outcome.
Right. Well, and your dominant thought is going to constantly produce evidence of that being true.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
If we are in a fear-based thinking and we're having fear about whatever, we're going to attract that right to us to happen because we like to be right.
Mm-hmm.
We like to prove ourselves right.
Mm-hmm.
We are powerful beings. Yes, we are.
Mm-hmm.
Look how powerful I am. I can think this and poof, look, it happens. Like, look at that. We're awesome,
Crap.
Yeah. Like, come on. Right. And so definitely. So when our dominant thought is fear, we're inviting more evidence of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Or its counterparts, anger, no, anger is actually a past emotion. So worry, stress, we invite all of those that come with it to just keep growing and making us crazy in that spot. But that's why it's so important to have things like little timers on your phone throughout the day that say, hey, are you present today? Or, are you in the now moment? Where are you at? Like, just because we can very often just run by default instead of run with intention. Because life is fast, stuff just keeps going on. We're being fed so much stuff from the TV, from other people, from whatever you're looking at, wherever your attention is going, you're being fed from that at all times. And if you're not intentional with it and paying attention to what you're doing there, it's just running. All this stuff's running, not to mention all the stuff that you gathered along all the years of your life.
Right.
That are still operating underneath there if you haven't done anything about them. And sometimes you've done stuff about them and they're still freaking there.
Keep showing up.
So come
like
on.
Layers.
Yeah, and I think they show up every time you try to up level. It rattles the cages and they all start going, whoa, what are we doing? Yeah. So it's so important to be intentional. And I'm not saying that that's easy, but I'm saying to put some safeguards in place. Try to, like, what's something I look at? I know I'm going to look at, like, I remember Rochelle doing, see how she's one of my greatest mentors. I refer to her a lot, but I remember when she was trying to take on a new habit, she would put notes around to remind her, like even on the pulpit, she would remind herself little notes, like, so places that she knows she's looking all the time. So if you're getting ready for work and you look in a certain mirror, put a little note there. Are we present? Oh, that's right. Let me get present. Let me pay attention to what my hair feels like or what my let me stay here for this moment. You're doing the dishes, you're in your bedroom, wherever, just put little things around. A lot of us have these little devices, and I know we're on it a lot with other things that maybe aren't as intentional or helping us, but we certainly can set timers and reminders in here to just keep us focused. Just like I do for trying to remember to drink enough water every day. I've got a little timer in here that says, hey, drink your water. Like, oh yeah, if I don't have that, like maybe I'll drink water. I don't know. But I think it's the same thing. So it's trying to not be running by default, trying to be proactive. The greatest business is your life. Your life, you may run a business yourself. You may go to work and work in someone else's business, but the real business is our life. And when you run any business in a reactive state, Anne, how does that go? Yeah. Right? No, it doesn't go. It doesn't work very well at all. Usually the business owner is overwhelmed, frustrated, stressed out, burnt out, all the things, because that doesn't work very well. But when you lead ahead of time, when you know what would I want to create I would love in my life? What does that look like? What's that vision? And then what are my goals and how do I get there? And I'm going to put things in place that help me along. I'm just not going to bounce around at everybody else's whim, the news, my friends, my whatever, and bounce all around and just hope it gets there and then react to every little thing. I want to be, proactive. It's my life, my business, mine. So it's trying to set those little tips and tools or the little tools in place to help us to keep on the right track, because it's so easy to forget and live by default. So easy to do that. We all, I don't know anybody that doesn't do that from time to time. And I wrote down here that fear thrives in action, hesitation, and spiritual amnesia.
Mhm.
Almost every time that you're sitting in fear, you have forgotten your truth, 100%. Because if you were sitting in your truth, what we all right now in this moment, we all know what the truth is, right? That God is all there is, and therefore I'm God's stuff walking around as me, as you, right? We all know this right now. But what happens if something awful happens? Where do you go with that? Do you go, oh, well, God's got my back in this too? Or how could this happen to me in this whole, like, where do we go? Not that we don't rightly have those emotions. I'm not talking about emotions. I'm talking about where are we going? Are we in fear? Are we trusting? What are we leaning on? What truth are we believing now?
Like ground of being.
Yeah, I'm talking about that. We're going to have those emotions. That's fine. I'm talking about way deeper than that. So when we look at things like spiritual amnesia and inaction and hesitation.
Spiritual amnesia, I love that.
Yeah, that's not a good one. That's not mine, but I love that one. I've talked about this before, but I think it's so important to get back to that present moment because that's the truth. What's actually happening right now is the truth. What we're thinking of in the future, that's not the truth. That has not come to pass, and it could come to pass in so many infinite possibilities. In fact, you could be on course for it to happen the very way you're thinking, and then you could just shift your thinking, and you could be on course for a whole nother way. You are maneuvering stuff. There's infinite possibilities, infinite realities that are happening at the same time, which makes my head hurt, but I believe that's true. So if you can, at some point, recognize, I'm having fear. Oh my gosh, what does that mean to me? It means I'm having spiritual amnesia. Then what's my spiritual? Then I need to get present and get back to my truth. And then it's very simple from there. As soon as you can get present, it's what's actually happening. What is actually happening right now? Okay, here's what's actually happening right now. Okay, all right, I'm sitting here, I'm on the sofa, I'm having a conversation, I'm doing this, I'm okay right now. And I think, all right, what do I want the outcome to be? What do I want to happen? Oh, okay, so I want this to happen. Okay, then what's my next move from here to get there? And you're going to get the answer, and that's the move to take. Even sometimes it comes and the answer for me comes so quiet, and sometimes it seems ridiculous, but it's the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, it's the right answer if it comes and it's quiet, and then your head dumps all of the data and information and why can't it do that? Don't go there, and all this stuff just dumps there. That's the right answer. That wouldn't respond so frantically to keep you from doing it. And I lost my train of thought. Something that you said made me say this, and so we come back to the present. Oh no, I lost my thought on that. Mind. Shoot, I forgot.
I was talking about operating on speculation.
Thank you. So because when you're operating from fear and you make moves from there, are they the right moves? They're never going to be the right moves,
Right.
Because they're from a truth a non-truth.
Mm-hmm.
They're from a reality that doesn't even exist. So how can that be the right move? It's just going to keep perpetuating the thing you don't want.
Well, and not to mention that also contributes to creating that very thing. If I'm spinning around with it, in the fear of it, it's like that energy feeds it.
Yeah, you're just pulling. Let me just bring it right over here. I don't want this, but I'm still pulling. I don't like it, but here, come here. God. And I'm as guilty as anybody. Like, I know. It's funny because we know this.
Mm-hmm.
We've all done this. We've all pulled it, right? And then we wonder what's happening, But the practice then would be to really work to get ourselves present. And it's okay if you wound up pulling it all the way to you, and now you're sitting in it before you realize, I'm not present. It's okay. You are going to learn so much from it anyway. Every single thing, even if you bring the worst things to you, which is why there should be no shame, will be used for your benefit. You will grow and you will learn and you will figure new stuff out. So sometimes it could be for that. And I try to give myself a lot of grace because, like, for example, say like somebody's in a job they hate, they're miserable and they're stuck. They can't see any way around the job. So you could go every day and be miserable and hate the job or whatever. You could also say to yourself, which is what I try to say, is maybe that very thing that you don't like and hate and whatever is preparing you for something else. You're developing some kind of skill set in that, and that was the only way to get it. And if you could go with that flow instead of fighting it with everything you have, I hate it, it's awful, I'm miserable, I can't get out of bed to go to work, I don't even like, stop all of that and just go. Go in the power of your truth of who and whose you are and show up in that space. It will, first of all, that whole experience will change. But if that makes you better in your spiritual journey, if that makes you lean on spirit harder, if that makes you recognize your truth more, like whatever. When I've gone through tough things, in the beginning, it's really difficult. And at some point I wind up pushing into my spiritual truth. And if that's what that's for, then so be it. If that's what I need to do that, then fine. So I just believe that God's back of all things. And if I believe that's true, then back of even the stuff I bring to myself that's maybe ugly and not what I want to be experiencing. Maybe that's the only way I can move through to say, okay, that's not what I want to be experiencing. So next time I will be more intentional with my mindset. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's really looking at that, our truth, putting safeguards against spiritual amnesia at all costs, like just working on that all the time, because there's so much against us, so much out in the world that we can get caught up out here and think that this is what's happening. This is the reality of what's going on. This is happening. Instead, this is what's happening, and it's producing this.
What would be the steps to reverse that? So you find yourself in that space, but what steps might I take?
Find myself where exactly?
In that space where you're drawing something to you that's not positive, and if you're operating on sort of autopilot, then what can I do to extract myself from that?
Well, that's the thing of what's actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually the tool, is to say what's actually happening right now.
Got it.
Because if you take some breaths, you got to get into the present moment. So maybe you're saying what's actually happening right now. Maybe you can't get to that because you're spinning around. Mm-hmm. If you could just take some breaths, we know this brings us present right away. It's it's the fastest thing to do. It's just recognize your breath in and out. Okay. All right. And as soon as you're here, then it's like, okay, what's actually happening? Mm-hmm. What's going on right now?
Stop the spinning.
Yes. Yeah. I can remember having a big argument with my brother-in-law one time, and we have had these moments over the years, but it had been a really long time since we had any issues. And I love this man. Like, I love him. So it's not like I don't want to have a relationship with him. Like, he's my brother. But we had something set us both off. And I don't know if you know this about me. You guys probably don't know this about me. But I have a very big temper, actually. And I used to have red hair. I dye it darker now. But as a child, I've always had red hair. And I'm half Jewish. And so I'm loud, and I have a nice red hot temper sometimes. And I was an only child for 4 years. So all of those things, just put them all together. But I have learned to control that for a large part of my life. Like, that's not my go-to. And I'm totally not that person like I was when I was young. But I can be triggered. There are certain things that will trigger me. Anything you say not right toward my children, which is what happened. He said something about my 18-year-old, and it was like 0 to 60. And she's out, she's gone. And I let him have it like I don't think I've ever let anybody have it like I let him have it. And so the whole family's they're all just stunned. And he got so mad that I think I stormed out of the room first. And then my sister said something, like, she wasn't, my one sister, her husband, his wife wasn't in the room at the time. And she came out like, what is going on? And he said, well, blah, blah, blah. She goes, no. I will deal with that. Don't ever like, she knows how to manage me. So she's like, don't go. And then he got mad and left because she didn't take his side. So they left, right? So I remember going into the other room and thinking to myself, my first thought was, I don't ever want to see that man again. We're not having any more relationship. Like I can just cut it off and never care or act like it never existed. The person never existed in my life ever. And then my mind goes, so because I have been spiritually practiced for a long time, my mind goes, but is that what you really want? Is that what you really want? And I was like, no, it's not what I really want. So I was so mad. I was on fire. My whole body was like red. I was so angry. And I sat in that room by myself and I said, is that what you want though? If you leave it like this, it will be over, because they're all afraid to come and talk to you, which is true. They'd rather just let it all just stop, because everybody in my family knows, like when I get like that, like there's no talking to her. It's over. She's not nice when she's in that space. So what would be the point? Mm-hmm. So they're not going to do it. So it's going to have to be you. Is this what you really want? If you leave it like this, it will do that. It'll be over. And then that little part of myself said, no, that's not what I want. Mm-hmm. That's not what I want. So I got myself so then Michelle, what actually just happened in there? Mm-hmm. Well, he said this and this and this. And then I got mad because he said this about, Trey, and okay. So you got mad because he said something about Trey. What would you like to have happened? And I thought, well, I would have liked myself to have been in control and to have said, please don't talk about my son like that. Mm-hmm. That is not what happened. You need to get all the facts before you come in here and make these statements, and blah, blah, blah. And I started to just unravel that anger just started to leave, because I got back into the present moment. Here's what actually happened. Here's what I would have liked to have happened. What's my next move from here? I need to get on the phone, don't I? Yes, I do. And I went back and out and I engaged in my space, and I owned myself. I never said it's okay. I just said, I wish I had shown up differently. I am sorry that I showed up like that. Can we talk about that? So that to me was my normal go-to as a younger person. I would have let that relationship end. I just wouldn't have even done any of that. None of that feels, it was sometimes easier just to block it off. A lot of us have done stuff like that over the years with lots of different things. But is that what we actually wanted to happen? Is that, if I had gotten present in those moments, did I actually want that? Or was that the fear or the anger just having its way now, moving in that direction? So we have a great relationship. I love that man. And we have an understanding about some things now, So I say that to say, like, it's so important to be present when you're dealing with anything. Not that you're not going to ever get triggered, but if you can come back to, oh God, that is not how I wanted to handle that. Or I don't want to be in fear right now. I don't like how this is feeling right now. Okay, then what actually is happening? What actually happened that caused this? Well, here's what actually happened. Let's just get it on to, okay. Well, what wanted to happen? Well, I wish you could, like for me, I said, I wish I had done this. And that's how I was able to figure out what's my way forward.
It's great if you could be preemptive, but sometimes our emotions we have to dial back and take a look.
And like I tell my husband, like, I have my own triggers. Mm-hmm. I can be a reverend, doctor, whatever. I could do all this for 80 years. It doesn't matter. I have my own triggers. And sometimes I'm really good at recognizing they're coming up and controlling myself and working through that. And sometimes people are talking to me and my head's going, now, come on now. You know better. They don't know what they're saying. They don't know that that's a thing. Whatever, I can do that. But with that particular person, we have passed. So that particular person got me. I just jumped, and there was no control of that. There wasn't even no safeguard, nothing. And so I don't want to be that person. So there's work to be done here. How did he still trigger me? So I'm just saying that, like, there is always going to be that. Give yourself grace. I don't beat myself up over that. I owned my part in it, and I dealt with my part in it. Now, he could have said, I'm not ever talking to you again. You were blah, blah, and I would have had to be like, and that's for you. But I took my ownership. And as soon as I took my ownership, everybody else felt it too. Like, nobody wanted it to go like that. Nobody wants the ugly stuff. So I just feel like that's a big tool. It's not always going to be a go-to. Sometimes we get triggered, and we just have to be I love when you always remind, like, don't shame yourself. This is all everyone's first time doing this. We're all learning ourselves and everyone else and how it all works all at the same time. It's a lot. So, yeah, that's what else do I want to say here? See, this is such a good topic because there's so much in the world right now that can bring a lot of fear, and everybody's edgy. There's so much. You could just sit in that all day and then try to interact with each other, and we're already in this place, and then we're trying to. That's really hard.
Well, sometimes a lot of times fear is in not knowing. I have a colleague whose daughter took a blood test the other day, and the results came back that she might have leukemia.
Oh, no.
So of course she went into panic mode, and I didn't know what to say to her, and I had to say, you don't know yet, let's wait till the results. But then I looked at my own self. I've never been told that would freak me out too.
Right.
But I tend to compartmentalize and do this, not disruptive behavior, but do something like overeat, be a workaholic, compartmentalize. And I think that's what she did. She had to compartmentalize and say, I just got to go in and face my work and not think about it. And then although they haven't talked to the doctor yet, her sister works for a doctor back east, and her sister showed the results to that doctor, and he doesn't think it's leukemia. So now she's hanging her hat on that. So it's still speculation, but she feels a lot better now that it might not be leukemia. Right. But there are certain fears, like if somebody told me I might have leukemia, it would be really hard for me to not worry about that for a while until I actually got the absolute results. And then I'd probably have to go to 9 doctors to have it confirmed over and over and over.
Right.
But my go-to, I realize with fear, is to compartmentalize, overeat, focus on overwork, focus on something other than that, which is not the way it should be done, but that's my go-to.
Right. That's what you're doing. Yeah. That's your response to fear. Right. And for me, if I would get a diagnosis like that, I think I would probably be in full-on meditate, like constant reset, trying to reset myself constantly, because you would have that worry coming in, and I don't want to attract that to me. You know what I mean? That because of my practice and what I believe in, I'm like, I don't want to give any power to that at all. I don't want to do any of that. I want to do the opposite of that. So I think I would immediately just start probably eating, like I would just do things opposite, because that's how my brain works, that's exactly my go-to. It's like, I don't want to give any energy. And sometimes my husband will say, well, it's still happening, Michelle. We still have to look. I'm like, but I'm not helping it. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to help whoever, blow up whoever. I'm not doing that. Instead, I'm going to pray for love, or I'm going to pray that's my power. That's all I can do. I can't be over there, or I'm not in the government. I can't control who does what, but I can use my superpowers for good. I can't do that. That's all I can. That's what I can do. All I can do. That's what I can do. And that's pretty damn powerful. Or I can add to the collective of this ugliness. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just making that more powerful. I don't want to do that. I'm not saying that would be my immediate go-to. I'm sure there would be an initial worry, fear. I've got all these kids. I've got a husband. I've got responsibility. I'm sure I would do that first. And then I'd be like, stop it, knock it off, take some breath, get into your space. Like I would have to constantly work on myself to stay out of that, because that's a heavy one. That's a strong pull.
It would be very difficult. I think it would be very difficult for me to go in that direction. I would probably be worried sick too if it was my child.
Yes, it was your baby.
Worry me sick. If my cats are told, I'm told my cats are sick, I'm worried sick.
Yeah.
So I would really have to work on that.
Yeah.
Constantly, every single minute.
Every single minute, I would too, and I would be in what Michelle said. Like, it's not happened yet. Be in here, be here, be here. Like, stay
Gets
present.
right back to being in the now.
Yeah.
I would ask myself, so is that happening right now? Okay, it's not happening right now. It might not happen. Right. What can I do to make it not happen?
There it is. There it is. And then whatever, you have to I'm telling you, for me, maybe not you, like my brother-in-law, Nathan, the one I was just talking about, he's a pastor too. And I've told you guys before how when God talks to him, he hears it plain as day, but he's practiced for a long time, like 20 years. When I hear it, when God does that to me, it's still really quiet, So sometimes I'm like, I don't know what you said. Can you say it? Well, what's that? I don't know. Because I'll overthink it. Like my brain will kick in, and now I'm overthinking. But if
the instructions, please.
I know, could I get a little more? But if you could just get quiet and then find out what's my next move and just do those little tiny moves. That's all we can do sometimes, is to keep resetting ourselves and reset and reset, reset. Because our imagination, we are creative beings. And yes, we can imagine the best and the worst. We're so good at it.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah. So I think that's so important. It's the thoughts, and our thoughts and actions this is what I wrote. Thoughts and actions are tools from spirit used with intention. Right? Don't use them by default, because man, that's like, you wouldn't take a chainsaw and just go whipping it around.
That's exactly the picture I
Did you? Yeah, like, whoa, let's run. Whoa, no, the door. Oh my God, sorry, Michelle. You know, we wouldn't intention. When I use my chainsaw at the house, like, I mean, I'm serious about that thing. That thing's like, I gotta cut a tree down. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I got, like, hold it out here, like as if it's gonna jump and hit me by itself. It's not, but it, you know, you're scared. It's like, ah. So it's like that to me. I don't think we realize how powerful our thoughts and our actions are. The thoughts come first. We are so much more powerful than we realize and we give ourselves credit for. And I think if we really recognize that, we would definitely do everything with intention. We wouldn't leave a single breath to default. But then again, I don't know. It's a lot going on out here in this world, right? Okay. So let's see. Oh, I love this. You are not powerless in the face of fear. You are powerful in the face of truth.
Got it.
So you're not powerless in the face of fear. It sure feels like that. But you are not powerless. You are powerful in the face of truth, though. That is where you feel that, and then you can move from there. Move from your truth. Aligned action is so important. Align with the truth of who we are, and then take action. So you don't want to take action from a place that's not aligned with your truth. And we get back to our truth in the present moment, and then we make our actions. Then we're aligned, and those actions will lead us to where we want to go. Get us out, get me out of here, you know. Let's move. Okay. All right. So anything else? Anything coming up for anybody?
Awesome.
Good. Okay.
All
All right.
Information.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah. This one I don't know what happened. I was like, oh my gosh, and I know then, I want to say this. So Jeannie, you'd be so proud of me. Look at all that writing. Got you, boo. Okay. All right. Let's pray us out. Okay. So I'm going to lead it a little differently and a little slower, because one of the most important tools that we have in religious science is our spiritual mind treatment. It's an affirmative prayer. There are 5 steps to this prayer. If you aren't a religious science person, it's okay. You can still use this prayer in whatever belief that you have. It's not a prayer like, oh God, please let me have XYZ. It's working on ourselves, because we just talked about our thoughts and how powerful our thoughts are. That's why we call this a spiritual mind treatment. I never understood that when I was first in religious science. I always thought that sounded weird. Like, what's this hokey pokey stuff? No, just listen to the words. It's a spiritual treatment of the mind, of our thinking, because we are creating from there. So we are trying to align with the truth of God. God doesn't need alignment. God doesn't need begging. God, none of that. No, we have to align with our truth. And that's what the treatment does. So the first step is to recognize. So go ahead and close your eyes. I'm going to lead you guys through this. And we did it a little bit in the first one, because in the first prayer this morning, because it was so important to me thinking about this. Recognizing that God is all. God is all there is. So take a moment and relish in that. You should, when you kind of go through this step, you should get kind of high on this. You should feel big and feel excited, recognizing the power that is God, the energy that is God, all that is God. Let that run through your mind. Everything you can think of, that is God. And breathe deep when you're doing that. And then from that place, from that recognition of the power of the one, our source, Unifying with that is the second step. Unifying ourselves with that, with God, with the divine, with that energy. Because the truth is, if God is all there is, that is what we have to be. We are not all of God, but we are a piece of God. We are that drop of God. If God were the ocean, we are a drop of God. We have all of the same qualities, abilities, powers that God has in our own world. That is what you are. That's what I am. That's what we are. It cannot be changed. It is the truth. Whether we have amnesia or not, it is the truth. We are creative, powerful spiritual beings. And so the next step is realizing what we want to be creating from this place of our knowing and our truth. And so for today, I recognize there is no fear over me. There's no power that fear has over me. There's only love for me. I am safe. I am free. I am the power. I am the love. I am the light. I just need to recognize it. I need remembering that. I need to see in those moments the light glowing out of my body. I need to allow myself to feel my truth. I need to allow myself to come into the present moment and feel the truth of who and whose I am. And I'm grateful for my freedom. I'm grateful for my truth. I'm grateful for the truth of everyone hearing my voice and beyond. We are all God in our own unique expression, in this human expression. Like Reverend Jeannie says, we like to give God a good time. So whatever it is, whatever comes across your mind right now, if there's any part in your body that has fear, recognize the power that is there. Recognize the truth that is there. See it dissolve and disappear. The fear just is gone. The power glows with light and love. And I also am feeling called to say, if there's any part of your body or of anyone's body that comes to your mind right now that is going through the healing process or is experiencing the opposite of feeling healed, or is experiencing pain or anything other than feeling good or the comfort that we should be feeling. I want you to bring that person, whether it's yourself or someone else, into the front of your mind. See the light and the power move to that space of their body. See it radiant. See it perfect. See it whole and complete. See it glow with the energy of God. This is the power we have. We use it with intention. We are powerful beyond measure and we can focus that power to bring the good we want to see, to create the life we love. We need only allow ourselves to do that. And I'm grateful for this truth. I am so grateful I know this truth. And so I let it go. And together we say, and so it is. All right.
How can we support you?
Why, thank you. Did you have a hand up to say something too, or you were going to do that too?
Yeah. I was just going to comment. I used to love Lonnie's version, his shorthand of spiritual mind. I can't remember exactly what he used for realization, but it was like, God is, I am, this is what's so, thanks a lot, peace out.
Yeah, peace out. Right. Oh, I kind of just got into the prayer. I didn't even say the other parts, but yes, you definitely, it's God is all there is. And then you unify with that. The second step is you're unifying that. So you recognize that if God is all there is, and that's what I'm made of. It's impossible to be of anything else if God is all there is, right? That makes perfect sense.
Right.
And then once you get to that place, you should feel pretty high as a kite before you get to step 3. That's the whole goal, is you're building up your power resources. You're like getting yourself all aligned. And then you speak your word, which is the realization. What do you want to be realizing in your experience? What do you want to bring about? That's what you then put there from your place of power, from knowing that your truth is that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. That's why you do those first 2 steps so that you can speak your word about what you want to realize with that power. And then you're grateful because it's already done. You know, as soon as you say it's already done, and then you let it go. So those are the steps. Yeah, and the peace out, that works too. We like the peace out. We love you, Lonnie. We're always thinking about you. Okay, so, how can you support us? Well, if you like what you heard today, and if this feeds your soul, if this helps you in your life, then we would love your support. And there's so many ways you can support us. Of course, we would love for you to be a spiritual church club partner and support us financially, which is $45 a month for an individual, $75 for a couple or family. This helps us to create our affirmation cards that we all receive each week. It helps us, everybody gets a mug when they're a partner. We have events coming up. Our partners will be, we have the monks visiting, and our partners will get that. Our partners are the only ones invited to that, along with our co-sponsor for that event. So there are things, classes and workshops. We had our big concert, and all of our partners got their tickets comped because that's part of what it is being a partner. When you help us, you get kind of all your stuff for free. And that's fun. I love doing
Lots of goodies.
Lots of goodies. And we have 2 big workshops coming up in just a couple, I think August and September, 2 workshops coming up that our partners will also receive. So there's a lot to being that. So if that's something you feel called to do, we appreciate that. That helps us to grow our community. You can also just a one-time donation we're grateful for that as well.
We would within Ministries.com.
Yes, thank you, Ann. At beginwithinministries.com is where you can do that. You scroll to the end of the page and you can pick one-time or monthly donations. But you can also like this. You can subscribe to our channels. You can share it with others. That helps us get the word out. Any comments helps the algorithm know we've got something special going on here, and that helps us as well. So we're on the YouTube at beginwithinministries.com, which is what you're seeing right now. We're also on Instagram at Sofa Sundays, and then we have our Sofa Sundays group where we will send this live stream over there as well, and that is also called Sofa Sundays on the Facebook. What's my last thing I was going to say? Oh, and come visit us if you're local. Hey, I'm not even going to say that because we got people come here from Australia, just so you know. So you have no excuse. Come see us in person. We'd love to hug and greet you and welcome you here at Sofa Sundays. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. Thanks for being with us today. We miss you, Rev Jeannie. We love you. Be safe in your travels, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Tune in again next week at 11:11 a.m. Pacific Time, or Monday evening at 7 p.m. Mountain Time.
partnership with New Thought Media Network.